Like it says you were live on YouTube, but I don't see any chat. I think we are. YouTube? Testing. Not live on YouTube? That's weird. Everything else. Oh, wait. I think we are live now. YouTube, can you guys hear me? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Yes, we are live. There we go. Yes, as Rodrigo was saying right there. No empieza esta huevonada. Ya, aquí estamos. Chingados. Un minutillo, chica, que nos tardamos. What's up, guys? What's up? We got Cyberfox as well. We got, who else is here? Sauce, Space Dorito, Tony Brutal. New tool? Yes, we have new tools inside of Zbrush. And let me tell you guys, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. We're gonna actually put them to the test, to the actual production test. And let's see how those go. We got Synnable. We got the name from, I believe that's Korean. However, I do not know how to read Korean. Had my volume up really high and my house was dead silent. So when you start talking to the sorry about that, Tony. Sorry about that. Is it as good as Topogon? Oh, we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about all of that. I'm doing great. Cyberfox, it's been a good week. It's been a really good week. It's December. December's always a chill month in both climate over here, as well as just in general, right? Like things slow down a little bit. And then we got Christmas. I love Christmas. My favorite season of the year. Then we got New Year, another very cool season. And there you go. Barisoki says, I'm building a PC right now. Any recommendations? I mean, it depends on the components. Like, do you have all of the parts already? Or are you about to start, like, buying the parts? I have a video about that. Like, build your PC or best PC for 3D. Something like that it's called. And, yeah. But it really depends. I mean, the biggest advice it can give you is try to get an SSD, either an M2 or a traditional SSD, and install your operating system there so that it runs fast. Then try to get an NVIDIA card, because most softwares will be using an NVIDIA card. I know they're a little bit more pricey than AMD, but they're really good. And what else? And yeah, try to get, if possible, at least 32 gigabytes of RAM, because a lot of the 3D softwares that we use are very RAM hungry. So yeah, I know. It's unfortunate that RAM prices are really high. I actually wanted to upgrade mine. Mine has 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I wanted to go all the way to 128. But yeah, with the prices right now, no, it's not possible. I mean, it is possible, but I can't wait. I don't really need that much RAM right now. Okay, let's see. What am I missing? Yusuf says, I'm an absolute newbie in Retopology. What app should I start on when starting Retopology? I'm currently using Zbrush for a week now, and I did 3 sculpts, and I did Maya for months, but I'm still at the beginner level. That's a great question, Yusuf. Do you have are you subscribed to Zbrush? Like, do you have access to the latest revision? Because if you do, this one right here that we're about to show, it's going to be like a really good tool, to be honest. So that would, like, I would recommend just doing it in Zbrush. But here's the thing, and we're going to talk about this quite a bit during the session in just a second. You need to understand that the tools for retopology and knowing how to do proper retopology are two things that are different in the learning process that you need to know both about, right? So for instance, we have the retopology course and we use Topogon for that one, but you can use or do that course in any other software, because the principles of retopology, or the principles of topology rather, apply to any software that you're using. But you do need to know, again, what you're doing. Like, at the end of the day, your choice of retopology tool, it's a personal choice. It really doesn't matter too much. But knowing why and how we do the proper retopology, that's important. I've done retopology in Zbrush. I've done retopology in Topogon, 3D Code, Blender, Maya. I think that's pretty much it. And I do have my tier list. We can maybe do a tier list of the like retopology tools on each of those. But yeah, like, at the end of the day, it really it's about knowing how retopology works rather than the tool itself. Some tools just make it a little bit easier in certain areas. Quampix says, hi, I recently bought your course on Substance Painter. Everything is great. The only thing I would like to have are subtitles. We don't have subtitles? Alan, do we not have subtitles on the Substance Painter course? Do you remember if we did those? I thought that we had. Maybe we do and I haven't updated them. But I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. Alan, do you remember? Did we did subtitles for those? Because I know the anatomy one has. I know the 3D code or the hand-painted character has subtitles. I don't remember if the substance painter has subtitles as well. Hello, Shivam. We got trauma. Bro, I have 16 gigs and I'm crying and praying every time. Dude, when I started, I had 6 gigs, I think, or like 4 gigs of RAM, so don't worry. 16 gigs, it's okay. Like, of course, if you can afford 32, you're gonna feel like quite the performance increase, but no, it's like it's fine. It's fine. 16 gigs, it's fine. Like, for instance, right now I'm working on my iPad. I'm doing a lot of iPad Zbrush for iPad, and I think the iPad has just 8 gigabytes of RAM. I know it's a different type of RAM because it uses a different type of operating system, but it's fine. Like, you can do pretty much everything. People Meister says, "Hey Abe, I'm new here. Where are you from?" I'm from Mexico, my friend. I live in Mexico. I would really appreciate a tier list for that on what is more efficient for you to use, like when you have tight deadlines. By the way, I'm currently doing the free trial, but I'm thinking to get the Zbrush after it ends. Yeah, we can do a tier list. We'll do one of those once we're finished. Let's see. Yeah, Solid Mango is saying that there is indeed English CC subtitles in the Substance course, my friend. So just check it. It should be there. They're English subtitles, though. I'm not sure if you were waiting for another type of subtitles. It's not very... Like, it's not possible for us to really do that. Hello, everyone. Hello. I hope you are having a great day, a great evening, a great afternoon. I don't know where you're watching from, but I know we got people from all over the world. We got people from this side of the hemispheres and from the other side of the hemispheres. We got people from Asia, from Europe, probably from Africa. Do we have anyone from Africa? I know we have some South Africa students, some Egypt students, Algeria as well. Do we have anyone from Africa right now? Of course, we're gonna have people from Latin America, I'm pretty sure, and of course North America. Do we have anyone from Australia as well, from Oceania? Definitely someone from there, I'm sure. Okay, so let's start by showing Tunisia. There you go. Let's start by showing some of the new tools that we have right here. So as you guys know, or maybe you saw some of the announcements, we're gonna be, of course, having some shorts about this on the channel as well. From Siberia, oh my god, it's very far away. From Russia, UK, there you go. Yeah, that's the thing I love about art. It's so universal. Romania, oh, I definitely want to visit Romania at one point. UK, weird. My wife, she's dying to go to the UK. She wants to go to Scotland. She definitely wants to go there. Finally, Professor Leal here. What's up, my friend? So this is Zbrush 2026.1, and there's a couple of new things that they added. First of all, let me bring in my freaking UI. So I'm gonna go here to configuration, load UI, and I think I have a copy of it on my desktop. Yeah, there you go. So whenever you load your UI, just make sure that you go to, again, configuration and then save UI, or not save UI, store configuration rather. Store configuration, there we go, so that anytime you open Zbrush, you get this. So they added a couple of new interesting things, and I'm just gonna quickly go over them before we jump into the actual what's the word, into the nitty-gritty stuff, which is the Retopology brush. So the couple of things that they added is this thing right here. So now it is possible to have one lightbox that is like the default Maxon lightbox, and one user-defined lightbox where you can pretty much create all of the folders, all of the materials, all of the things that you need, and keep them a little bit more organized. I like it. I think this is something that you're probably going to use a little bit more if you're like freelancing or you're working on your own. I'm not sure if this is going to be something that you can use on a studio level as much, but it's cool. It's cool that we now have access to this. And if you go to preferences, we got this asset directory now over here, and you can open where the directory is going to be. You can change the location of the directory. You can just reset it. So it's good. It's good. So it's a good way to, again, keep things a little bit more customizable, right? So that's one of the first things that they added on this update. Now, here's another really interesting one that I really like, to be honest, which is something that they did on the insert multi-mesh brushes. So if you guys remember, whenever we used an insert multi-mesh brush, like for instance this one right here, Steam Gear, all of the information here on the gears, it was a little bit difficult to find specifically the tool that you want, especially with brushes that were really freaking big. So now I believe they added, I'm not sure if on this one's right here, but there is a way where you can have folders within this. So this is when you create the brush. I'm going to show it to you with the Retopo brush because they did it with this one here. So as you can see, the Retopo brush, it acts pretty much as an IMM brush. I'm going to explain this, don't worry. But you can see that now we have folders. So we can go to specific parts of the IMM brush, all of these patches that we have right here. We can go to this brush and just select specifically what we want, right? Because otherwise, imagine having to look through this one right here, 228 different subtools or different like options for the Retopology brush. It's a little bit too much. So thankfully, we now have these little folders for the IMM brush. And I believe for the BDM brushes as well. So I believe you're going to be able to do this as well. It works with the like folder structure. So again, it's a nice little sort of like addition that they did for this thing. Let's see. What drawing tablet are you using, and what's the best one you've ever tried? Oh, that's a great question. So I've been using Huion products for a while now. They've sent me some of the tablets to test out, and the new Gen 3 that they have for all of their like sizes is really good. Right now, I'm using the Pro 19. I'm not sure if it's Gen 3. I'm pretty sure it is, but this is the Pro 19, and it's really good. I really like the size because it's not too big and it's also not too small. It's like right on that spot. I've tried the 22, which was a little bit too big for my taste. I've tried the 16, which is good. I have that one for my laptop. I've tried the 13, which is a little bit smaller. It's really good if you want to go really portable, but it definitely starts feeling, you know, a little bit small. I want to try the 27-inch eventually, but that one's like super big. I think people who do drawing and painting, they might benefit a little bit more from those. And the brand, I mean, it's good. I've heard, again, some like conflicting opinions. Some people don't have a good experience, but I've been using it for like 6 years now, and I haven't really had any big issues. Before that, I used to use Wacom, but here in Mexico, they're really expensive. Okay, let's see. So today, my friends, as I mentioned, we're actually going to be working on a production asset. We're going to put this to the test, and we're going to be doing the Oni. This is actually a tool that I have not, like tackled in a while. I'm not sure why. I've always been a little bit scared of doing the retopology on this guy because it's a complex guy. But yeah, it's this guy right here. So some of you guys might remember it from our Zbrush stylized course, which you can of course check on our website. And now it's the time. Now it's the time to actually go through the process and retopologize this guy right here. So let's see. Have you tried XP Pen? I have not tried them, to be honest. I've not tried them. They haven't reached out to us either for any collaboration or anything. Let's see. Any experience with the Space Mouse? No, but I do use this one for mouses. I use this one. It's this one is a Corsair. I don't know the specific like name, but it's like the one that you use for MMOs, where you have like a lot of extra buttons on the side, like numerical, like a numpad on the side. And this is like I've been using this type of mouses since I started. It's just like a game changer for me because I can switch very quickly between views or between modes or between like a lot of different things. Yeah, right. He's like, I dare you to retopologize me. So yeah, let's go. Retopology is the only thing in 3D that scares me. No, Ripley, you're gonna enjoy it. It's actually a lot easier than you might think. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove all of the polypaint. We don't need any polypaint right now. And let me turn off the image as well. There we go. And this is what we left off with. As you can see, this character has a bunch of subtools. It's 36 subtools. And we have a bunch of polygons. We're at 26.1 million points. So it's like a 50 million like polygon like sculpt for all of the different things, right? Like the robes, the skirt, the bandages, the shoes. Like it's a complex character. I'm not going to say like the most complex character ever, but that's it's a complex one. So here's how it works. It's a lot easier than I thought. We are going to go to brushes. We are going to go to R, Retopology, and we're going to grab this one, E, Retopology brush. And as we saw before, we're going to have access to all of the patches over here. We're going to talk about patches in just a second, but it's super simple. You click on the character, and the first thing it's going to say, hey, do you want to create a new Retopo mesh? I'm going to say yes. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a new subtool. As you can see, it has this little orange thing right here. And now just click and place points. That's it. You just click and place points along the surface of your element, right? Like you start planning how your topology is going to be flowing. And once you're ready, you press a space bar when you are inside 4 of those elements. And you're just going to click and create the quad like that. Now, there's a couple of interesting things here that we need to take into account, and it did sort of like confuse me a little bit at the beginning when I was like learning about this tool. And the first thing is the spacebar option. So if you just click, right, and we start adding points, when you press the spacebar, you're gonna see that the size of the brush changes. This range is where the brush is gonna look for 4 points, at least 4 points, to be able to do the face. You can change this size right here. So if I go here and I modify the intensity, or not the intensity, sorry, where is the size? Where's my size? Where the hell is my size? What the hell? Where the hell is my size? Focal shift, the intensity. Yeah. We're gonna have to press S. So I'm gonna press S, and then I'm gonna press the spacebar, and then press S, and then move this down. And as you can see now, the circle is not as big to cover all of the elements. So you need to again press S, bring this up until the circle is big enough so that it finds the faces. And now I can just click and add the press the spacebar and add the points. Now there's another common thing. When you again press the spacebar, add the points, if you have points that are like on the way, the easiest way to clean them, just control and drag. Control and drag is going to clean all of the points, and now we can continue adding more points right here to continue retopologizing our character. So to be honest, like, this is really handy, right? We just start adding points right there, and then just a spacebar to fill in those points, right? Makes retopology for this like simple elements relatively easy. But that's not all. Let me show you a couple of really cool features. So for instance, let's say I want to retopologize this area of the character, and I know that I'm gonna need a couple of more edge loops, right? So I'm gonna press Alt, and I'm gonna drag a line across the section. Once I drag that line, I can click on that line and then move my mouse left and right to add more points to that line. Let's say we want to add 4 points like that. And then the next time I draw, or sorry, the next time, let me just delete that point. I'm gonna have to reset that again. So Alt and drag the line, and then click on the line and drag left or right to change the amount of points. Let's go a little bit lower, something like that. And then we press Alt and draw another line. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm getting my shortcuts confused here. Alt and drag the line. Click on the line to move the points around. And then Alt and drag another line. There we go. And then Alt and drag another line. There we go. And then Alt and drag one more line. There we go. And it's going to find all of the elements where we need them to be, right? So as you can see, it's finding and just like creating the full grid. And I believe you can go in here and modify this on the go. Like if you want to add more or less points, we can just do this. And this geometry will become active once you click on it. Once you click on it, the geometry is now like literally like pasted to the character. And as you can see, we can continue with our retopology options and just like move things around, like slide elements, like just do anything that we need. I was using the mouse, but that's a great question. You can actually use the stylus as well. There we go. Oh my god. Control N. There we go. So that's what we have right there. Now, a couple of extra little tools that we have here with the element. If we want to grab an edge loop and sort of like extract it or extrude it, you just go to the edge, hit Alt, and then just drag out like that, right? So just grab one of these edges, hit Alt, and then drag down. And as you can see, it has like an auto snap feature enabled. I'm gonna show you where you can change this in just a second. But we have this auto snap option, so that it like completely, or just goes and completes the rest of the loop. So again, not freaking bad, right? Not freaking bad. How do you subdivide your topology while retoping? That's a great question. So this is the one thing that I really like about the new tool. This is just as any other subtool. The only thing that changes is the fact that it has that little like orange square. But if I press Control D, for instance, that's going to be subdivided. Now, the only thing I need to do here is just a delete lower, and that's it. So now these are my new polygons. And if I start just like smoothing or sliding things around, you're going to see that it's going to snap back again into the skin of the character. So it detects the mesh, and we can just continue working. So if we want to work at a higher subdivision, you just like subdivide, and that's it. This is a normal subtool, like any other subtools that you might imagine. It's just the exact same thing that we have. Now, here's a couple of other things. Right now, I just switched to working with a stylus. So here's another thing that we can do. Let's change the size here. It seems like the draw size is changed when you're inside of this one, because spacebar doesn't let me go into my usual stuff. But anyway, here's a very cool one. Let's say we want to do the deltoid right here. So the deltoid usually has a very specific like flow to it, where it has like an edge loop that goes around the whole thing. or at least that's how I like to make it, to keep the form a little bit more, you know, intact. So I'm just gonna do the sort of like shield structure here on the deltoid, right, like this. We can just add all of these points. Remember, I'm clicking to add points and then spacebar to do this. Triangles are allowed, so you can just do triangles right there. And if you want to change something, if you move two things very close together, they're gonna merge together. So that's another great thing. But here's the thing. Remember the alt stuff that I showed you? If you press alt and you drag out, you're gonna get one face. But if while you're dragging out, you tap alt again, you're gonna extrude the whole edge loop, like that little section right there. And if you hit alt again, you're gonna extrude the whole range right there. Look at that, like the whole thing going around the element. This is just so good, right? So yeah, that's the option. It's an option that you need to, again, press alt and drag, and you sort of like scroll around by pressing alt the different modes, right? Like this is face mode, this is like a full loop mode, and that's like a edge loop mode. So again, it's a really handy way right here. Yes, we have the Retopology course. So again, as I mentioned before, this is very important. That's a great question, by the way, in Chazeta. If you want to learn about Retopology, like where you need to do and how you need to do the Retopology course is the one that you're gonna use. Okay? Yes, we use Topogon on that one, but the exact same techniques that that we use in Topogon can be used now inside of Zbrush with some of these tools. Not all of the tools are gonna be exactly the same, but the important thing is to understand how the flow works and how the topology works, right? This thing right here, this like little thing, this is like an extra tool inside of Zbrush, but the important thing, the important information is how and where to place this retopology, and that's something that we cover on the Retopology course. Is this real, or are we all in a dream, right? Yeah, it's really good. So for instance, here's another thing. If I press alt again and drag, I'm gonna switch around to face mode, and then there we go, and then I hit control. Like I'm still like clicking on the screen, right? But I hit control and then I drag up and down. I'm gonna sort of like extrude that selection. And if I do left and right, I'm gonna like get more divisions on the element. So for instance, if I do that right there, I can get, let's say, 3 divisions right there, and let's extrude them to the side like that. And again, when I drop or when I let go, this thing is going to sort of like project itself to the surface of the element. And now we're gonna be ready to go onto the next stuff. Goodbye 3D code, feels strong, man. It's really good. I do feel like there's a couple of tools missing that I really like from like 3D code and Topogon. For instance, there's a tubes tool that some of those softwares have that I really like, and we don't have anything like that just yet. But if they keep adding to this thing, then yeah, like you can pretty much do your whole workflow inside of this thing right here. Let's see. There we go. Now another thing right here, so I'm gonna alt this, so you could see that face was becoming a little bit problematic, right? Because it's a square that tries to be too many things. So what I can do is I can go to the point, hit alt on the point, and then drag out. And if I drag out and I keep alt pressed, I'm gonna make a square. So when I drop it, boom, we got the square right there. But if I want to keep that as a triangle or as 2 triangles, I can hit alt, drag, and then drop the alt, and now that's gonna be 2 triangles right there. So as you can see, that's gonna give me a way better flow for my topology. I know people hate triangles or they're like very scared about them. They're not bad. As long as you know how to use them, we can totally use them quite nicely. What do you guys think about the tool so far? Not bad, right? Not freaking bad. Is there a character UV unwrap in the channel? I'm not sure if we've done a full character UV unwrap on the channel. I've done a lot of different UV unwraps on the channel, my friend, but I'm not sure if I've done a full character. Hey, is 3D code worth it? I'm thinking about buying it because it's a permanent purchase. I love it. I literally love 3D code. It's one of my favorite softwares because I love hand-painted stuff. So most of the stuff that I do hand-painted, I'll do them inside of 3D code. It feels amazing. It's quite responsive. If you want to use the full thing, I don't use the full thing. I do use the Retopology tools, for instance, which are really good as well. But I've heard that the sculpting room is also like quite nice. Okay. Let's see, bastante interesante. Aún prefiero usar Retopo Flow 3, especialmente. Yeah. I mean, this is free as well if you own Zbrush, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Now, let's go with another really important like a feature right here, which is the patches. So all of these patches right here, really interesting, right? Here's how the patches work, and it's a little bit again interesting. So if I have a specific area, let's say here on the deltoid, and I want to use this patch right here, the patch VO2 that has like a similar so like progression stuff, I can just add a point and then click on the patch and then drag with space from that point. Or how was it? Did I miss it? Drag a point, grab my patch. Give me 1 second here. No, is it gonna crash? I think it's gonna crash. Zbrush, you can do it. You can do it, my friend. You can do it. It crashed during the presentation as well, which was very funny. But that's the disadvantage of working with these softwares that are doing so much stuff, right? Like, I know no one likes when things crash, but again, it's part of the whole thing. Let's take a look. A usual way to check if your software actually crashed or if you can like wait and then hope for the best is go to your task manager and then look for the actual look for the task. And if the amount of memory is completely stuck, then yeah, you're fucked. Like, this is it. Like, there's no way you're gonna be able to save it from this. So, oh, there you go. It actually did save. That's nice. So it's at a point and then spacebar. The point. Why cannot I add? Is it different than in the iPad? I was doing this on the iPad yesterday. What am I missing here? It's not a crash, it's just thinking. Control, drag. Let me try a different one. There we go, Alt. It's with, no, sorry, it's with, yeah, it's with Alt. It's with Alt, not Control. So that again, you add a point, you select the patch that you want, like that patch B2, you hit Alt, and then you click on the point, and there you go. You just drag and drop the element. And again, this thing is just a projection. Right now, that thing is not actually on your geometry, and then you just click on this whole thing. Now, it's not with space. With space is when you are adding a point. So if you are adding like more points like this, then yeah, with space, you're gonna be able to add the face. But when you're adding a patch, you click on the place where you want to place the patch. You grab whatever patch you want to use. Let's say we want to use, I don't know, this patch 5 V-star right there, and you press Alt and click on this thing right here. Okay, very, very important to follow that like process, otherwise the patch is not going to work. You click on that, and there we go. The patch is now on our character. Now, you can also see, and this is something that they were asking during the presentation, the transparency stuff, right? So right now, when we jump into this retopology stuff, we automatically get this like transparency option. If you don't want to see it, you can turn it off. You can also turn on ghost, which is gonna like make it even more transparent. I do believe there are some options in transparency to make it even more transparent, but I find this to be like quite nice. Okay. Any questions so far? Because now I'm gonna go into a little bit of a technical stuff here that they showed, and it's important as well. What about symmetry? Symmetry does work. Symmetry does work. So let's say we're doing, for instance, the eyes. This is, you guys are gonna love this one. So if we go here to, for instance, the human elements, we're gonna have left eye right here, and I can press a symmetry, of course. Press a point right there, Alt and drag, and we're gonna get the loops for the eyes. Just click and boom, we got that retopology right there. Of course, we're gonna need to sort of like clean it up and then modify it a little bit. The best thing that you can do, since this is like projection based, one of the best things that you can do to get a good result is to, whenever you're like dragging the, what's the word? Whenever you're dragging the patch, for instance, you want to drag it in a view where all of the faces that you're going to be projecting to are visible. So something like that. Because right now you can see it's getting a little bit of a weird error right around there. But nothing that we cannot... Oh! Nothing that we cannot fix. There you go. That's our first crash of the day. Unfortunate, but again, part of the deal. It's kind of like Quadra, but on steroids. Or what did you mention there? It's kind of like a... But as usual... Yeah, it's a little bit much easier. There's a couple of other options that we can do here. Let me open that tool again. Now, keep in mind, again, I'm working with a very dense tool, which, again, it's production stuff. Like, this is what you might do if you were... if you were working on a studio or something. For those of you that just arrived, here's how it works. Just turn off this whole thing. There we go. So again, you just go to BRE. That's the shortcut for the retopology brush. It loads. And then once it loads, you click anywhere on the mesh. And it's going to say, do you want to start a new Retopo mesh? And let me say yes. And once I do that, now we're back in Retopo mode. Now, let me show you a couple of other things. So as we mentioned, what's the word? This thing right here, the symmetry does work. So again, if I were to draw Alt and then change the size of this thing, let's say something like that, and then Alt again and draw, and draw. There we go. But you cannot cross things. It's very important that you follow the proper sort of like flow or the proper order, because as you can see right there, if you go in a different option, it just doesn't work. Does it have a quad fill function for holes? No, but it has the snapping option. It does have these snapping options. Is there a knife option like in Maya? Yes and no, Chaseta. So they showed this tool right here. So again, let me go around this thing. Let's go right there. Let's go right there, and let's go right there. So if you want, like we make this permanent, if you want to continue working on this thing, one of the things that you can do is just switch to Modeler, right? Go to points, and we can use the slice mesh and go from one point to the other, right? One point to the other. 1 point. Oh, just click outside that. 1 point. Reset that 1 point to the other, right? So you can switch between the brushes, because again, remember, we're not in any like weird mode or anything. We're just in a different brush. So if at any point you switch from the Retopo brush to the like Modeler brush, you're gonna have access to all of those tools. Again, quite nice. I like the topology prefiles. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Can you zero snap like in Topogon? What do you mean zero snap? Like get these guys to the center? Yeah, like kind of. Like the symmetry does work, so if you just like push things, it should work like symmetrically. And if it doesn't work, or if you have any issues with that, remember we always have again mirror and weld. So I can just do mirror and weld, and just hope for the best, like hoping that there's not of that stuff right there. We can just go and hit Alt and click to delete a face, and there we go. So it seems like we had like some non-zero length faces right there. Hopefully it doesn't crash again. There we go. Now, a couple of interesting things about this element. As I mentioned, we can just like smooth this whole thing right here, and if we delete the lower, this is going to be the new mesh that we're going to have, right? So we can go back here, and let me change the space of this thing with S. Let's just start smoothing stuff up. And here's a very interesting thing about the smoothing option. So if you take a look at what's happening right now, when I smooth this thing, only the squares inside of the mesh are the ones that are smoothing. So the borders, they remain exactly where they are, which is something that you might want. But if you don't want that, you need to go to the brush options, and then on the brush themselves, in the retopology section, we need to remove this alternate smooth option. If we do that now, is that the one? No, that's not the one. Right. Alternate smooth. Hello, smooth border. No, yeah. Oh, on shift release. Okay. So I press shift, I start smoothing, and then I release shift. It should smooth the borders. Why is it not smoothing the borders? What am I missing here? Smooth. Oh, wait. That's stupid. I need to press shift, go to brush, because this is the smooth remesh brush. As you can see, it's smooth retopo. So I need to go to brush, and now on the retopology brush, I believe that's the one that I removed the option from. Can I not? Oh man, was pretty sure that was the option. I'm gonna owe you that once. Yeah, there's gonna be another button that we need to add to our to our elements. I'm gonna research the proper shortcut, but there's a way that you can use a smooth, and it's gonna smooth the border of the element. Okay. I love Zbrush. I use it for everything. Yeah, if you don't want to jump from Zbrush and you just want to keep using it, it's hold shift, smooth, and release shift. Hold shift, smooth, and release shift. No, it's not really working for me. I'm not sure if it's a bug or something, but not really working. Hold shift, smooth, and then release shift. Yep, nope. So I did change this, right? Topology, unless I need to hold shift, smooth. Oh, there you go. I need to keep that thing on. So you keep that thing on, and then you press... Okay, so let me do that again. Normally, when you smooth, the border of the element is not going to be affected. However, if you hit shift, start smoothing, and then drop shift, the edges of the element are going to be smoothing, and you can pretty much collapse the whole thing, which again might be something that you want on some specific cases. It's a little bit strong, right? So you can always press a shift, and then on the C intensity just lower that like quite nicely. And now if I do this, yes, the border is going to be smoothed, but not too heavily, right? So again, it's another way to really make this work a little bit better. If you don't want this behavior to be happening right now, that's the button that you release. So you go to brush, and then you remove alternate smooth. And if you do that, then it doesn't matter if you remove shift or not, the border is never going to be affected. Inside of those options, there's also another important option, which is the threshold. So if we go here to the snap threshold, you know that right now, if I grab my normal draw size and I bring one vertex very close to another, it's gonna snap. If you don't want that snapping to be that close, you can again go to brush, and then you can go to snap threshold, lower this thing, and now you're gonna be able to bring vertices a lot closer without them snapping. Okay? Let's see. Kosajin says, a genuine question. If we retopo in Zbrush, do we still need to bake in Substance Painter for high poly details, or can we do it too in Zbrush? So Zbrush does have a baker. If you go here to see plugin, you're gonna have this multi-map exporter, and technically you can export ambient occlusion, cavity, normal, but that's pretty much it. I still would do my texturing and my bakings in another software like Marmoset or like Substance, but here, like, the fact that we can do again the Retopo is it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay, so here's another little trick here for the Retopology tools. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna start sort of like planning, let's say, my eye. I'm gonna start really low, and we already know that for the eye we want to have like a loop, right? This is very important. Again, we covered this on the Retopology course. So if I press spacebar and I click on the face, I can just hit spacebar or keep spacebar pressed and just drag my brush around the whole thing. So I don't need to press the spacebar and click all the time. I can just like literally create the whole thing like that. If I want to add a new edge loop right there, I just go in here and I press what was the option here? Oh man, was it Alt? No, it's not Alt, because there is a way to add another point here. Yes, of course, we can use, yeah. So if we go to see Muller, for instance, and we go to edge mode, we can just insert natural right there, and that's it. And then again, we can change back to the Retopology brush. But there's a way to add the it's not that one. Well, as I mentioned, you can press Alt and drag out, and then you tap Alt once and then twice, and you're going to be able to drag out the whole like thing, right? Like the whole loop. So that's another way to very quickly move across the whole thing right there. Let's, for instance, let's add the faces right there. That's the usual mask that we do for the eyes of a character. Usually here we're going to have a another point, and this thing sort of like goes around the whole thing. Pressing space and letting go. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, my friend. Yeah. This is the thing I love and hate about Zbrush. Like, everything's a shortcut. So if you don't know the shortcuts, you're lost. Like, there's no way to find that. So yeah, when you're extruding edges, it's with Alt, and you extrude the edge like along the whole thing, right? So again, very handy. Oh, like this is another great example. Look at this. Let me just go back a couple of faces here. There we go. So here, I'm just going to extrude this whole thing right there. And that's the loop that I would normally do for an eye. But let's say I want to add another resolution here, another line. I just press a spacebar and then click on the element, and boom. That's going to incorporate a new line right there. And then, of course, we can adjust the points, smooth them out, right? And start cleaning this whole thing. For instance, here on the chin, or not on the chin, on the eyebrows, it's very common to do a reduction. You guys, we talk about these reductions all the time, and I like to use this 2 to 4 reduction. So I'm gonna add one point right there, add my reduction element. I think I'm gonna have to remove symmetry for this one. So let's add the point, remove symmetry, and then add this one right here. There we go. Click on it. And now the only thing I need to do is move these points around. Now let's bring symmetry back. Click, Alt, drag. There we go. And then we bring symmetry back. Tab right there. We could just hit spacebar. And if this thing is close enough to the square right there, should detect it. If it doesn't, we can just Alt. I'm gonna hit Alt. There we go. Boom. If this happens, since I know that this is perfectly symmetrical, we can try doing a mirror and weld. And now these are gonna be perfectly symmetrical. There we go. And there we go. Oh. Right there. What is happening there? Do we have some flip normals? That's interesting. I'm sure if that point is generating some issues, so let's just delete like that. There. Oh, it seems like we have some like extra edges right there. This is a very common issue with a lot of retopology tools, where sometimes you generate like faces that are not where they're supposed to be, or it looks like we have more faces than what we actually do. We gotta be careful with that. Sería genial que la simetría para este tipo de piezas fuera como el Z-sphere. I mean, it's quite similar. Is this Quadro in Zbrush? Yes, these are the new retopology tools inside of Zbrush. Now I'm gonna show you another trick that I found. This was not shown during the live stream, but I figure is like, this is an interesting way. So one thing that that's really, yeah, it seems like the normals are flipped. See that? So the fact that this thing is trying to go all the way over there instead of this edge right here, that tells me that there's an issue with the edges. Let's take a look. I'm not sure what the issue might be though. One of the things that we can try here is just press Ctrl D to smooth. And this is going to tell us where the faces are. So there seems to be an issue with those two faces right there. I'm going to go back, delete higher. Let's delete those faces. Oh, there's those weird points right there. Okay. So this is one thing I don't think they're going to do that. But I wish they could give you this option. Because look at what happens. So if I add a point right there, and then I fill the faces. As you can see, first of all, it's not really... There we go. I fill the faces, and it's working fine. And then I decide, I want to change the topology there. I don't like it. And I start deleting faces. The points are still there. So the vertices don't go away when we delete the faces. And that can be, a little bit problematic every now and then. So I wish there was an option to either keep them or not, depending on if you want to keep the elements. They explained that they want that to be there because you might want to just like rework the flow of topology, but I do think that it might be a good idea to add the option to decide whether or not you want to keep them, because they might, similar to C-spheres, if you have like a rogue C-sphere and you don't see it, it can be a little bit problematic. You can, I understand, like, yeah, of course, you can just mask them and they go away, but it might be a little bit easier, like here, like, I don't know why this thing is trying to go all the way over there when this face is a lot closer, right? So it makes no sense. So here I'm gonna try to use my Alt option. Yeah, so something is wrong with this edge right here. That's not letting me attach it right there. We can do it the opposite way. I'm not sure if it's like some like face information or something, but anyway. So let me show you a trick that's very, very interesting and that I figured that we could use. So for instance, this horns right here actually have like a relatively clean topology, right? Like, it's not that bad. It's definitely a little bit heavy, but not that bad. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate the horns, and once I duplicate the horns, let me just isolate them for just a second. I'm gonna go Geometry, ZRemesh, and I'm gonna half and ZRemesh. What I try to have here is I want to have like a very low amount of polygons on the sort of like the vertical axis, right? So I'm just gonna keep hitting half and half until we can get like to 8 or something like that. And now what I'm going to do is, with my visibility tool, I'm just going to delete all of the faces that I don't want. So I just want to leave... Actually, no, we can leave like this. Maybe just like the... I'm going to leave like something like this. There you go. So just like a little section right there. So maybe I want to use that as my base, my base. I want to use that to use it as a base to start retopologizing my horns. So what you can do is, with the retopology brush in this new subtool, I just click on it. And when I click on it, it says, hey, do you want to create a new retopology mesh or no? And I say, no, I just want to convert this, whatever this mesh is, to my new retopology mesh. And there we go. Now, if I just go and start smoothing things out, as you can see, it's going to conform. So when you use smooth right now, what is pretty much happening is this is conforming now to the shape of the element. So now I can just start working on the retopology of the horns following that line right there. Yeah, exactly. So we can use extraction, or we can use masking, or we can just like pick another piece and then go from it and just like fix it a little bit. And now I can go back to this one, go all the way to the highest of division level so that we can see all of the detail, right? Oh, no. And let's go back to this one right here. And from here, we just keep working. So again, I'm just going to make this a lot smaller, and we can just keep adding points, right? So like this. I'm not sure if it's like again, like a polygroup situation, and that's why things are not like connecting as much. But yeah, this is it. Now, one big advantage, and I'm gonna give Zbrush like the full credit right now. One very big advantage about having all of these retopology tools right here is that we can work with the actual element. We don't need to decimate anything, right? We don't even need to merge things. I'm keeping all of my 38 subtools separated, and I can just keep working on this very nicely. Normally, when you send this to Maya or 3D Code or any of these other retopology softwares, you do need to minimize, because trying to work with, in this case, 26 million points can be a little bit chaotic, right? But not in this case. In this case, it's a lot easier. Try Control W. Maybe we'll... Yeah, we can, of course, regroup that. Again, I'm going to press Alt, drag this up, and then tap Alt twice, so that it does the thing. And then just Alt again. Once that is selected, we can just keep pushing and keep pushing. Unfortunately, as you can see right here, things are starting to sort of like collapse a little bit. So we might want to press Shift, click, and then let go of Shift. By selecting this other stuff that I deselected. There we go. So Control, click, starts moving, and then drop it. And that way we can push the thing back again. Now, in terms of retopology, this is the point where I would definitely start like merging some stuff, right, into triangles, especially for horns. You probably want to do that because we're not going to be using as much of this resolution in other sections. So we can start simplifying. It's a little bit of the... We did this trick, what was it, Alan, like 2 or 3 weeks ago when we were doing the dagger? The frost dagger, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Oh, we've done so many things this year, guys. Can you believe it? Almost the end of the year. There we go. Something like that. What is the most common use case for Retopo like this? For when you want something animated? Yes, that's right. When you want something animated, when you want to optimize things for a game. Because remember, most games, they cannot run with this like super big amount of polygons, right? But not only that, like even if you're modeling and you want to... we did this literally on Wednesday, right? This week. If you're creating pieces of armor or elements and you want to extract them, the best thing that you can do is just generate clean geometry. So for instance, this thing right here, right? Like that one right there, let's isolate it real quick. That's a very interesting, cool looking mask, right? So what we can do now is, for instance, let's go to C Modeler and I'm going to go to Stitch. I'm going to go to Points and Stitch. I'm going to stitch this to the center. There and there. Oh, there. Extrude now. Oh man. Stitch. Stitch. It's not letting me. Okay, well actually, you know what? Let's just keep it on the Retopology tab instead. So we're just here in Retopology. What I can do is just move that point. Boom. That snaps. That's what I wanted, to get like a sharp corner right there. And what I can do, I'm just gonna clone this so that we can work on a separate tool and it's a little bit easier to see. But this is what we have, right? Let's Control W. Let's Auto Groups. Grab that mask right there and say Delete Hidden. So now this mask right here, I can go to something like a Geometry. We can go to Dynamics of Division, turn on Dynamics of Division, and give it, for instance, a little bit of thickness. Not too much. Something like that, right? We hit Apply. Seems to be a little bit of an issue there. But hopefully, if we do Dynamesh with a high enough resolution and polish, that's breaking a little bit right there. Dynamesh. Oh, you know what? Let's try, first of all, let's try modify geometry, fill holes. Close holes. No, it's not working. Okay, so there seems to be a little bit of an issue there with the dynamics of division. But hopefully you guys can sort of like picture how this could potentially be the base mesh for a piece, like an armor piece or whatever, like an Oni mask or like a shoulder pad. So it's a lot easier. And it's funny, I got a message yesterday from a good friend there on Discord. He said, "Oh man, I saw the video, I saw the shoulder pad video, but it sucks that I need to get outside of Zbrush to fix the topology of some of the stuff that I was doing there because I only use Zbrush." And it's like, yeah, it's a shame. And then I told him if I had waited just a couple more days, I could have done that video without having to go into Maya and just using the Retopology tools here, the new ones that we have right here. So yeah. When will you know if you're going to use triangle in topology? Are there other shapes like that also, not only squares? No, you only have squares and triangles, nothing else. Squares and triangles. You don't really need any other shape. Any other shape, and let me go into Krita to show you this because it's a very good question, by the way. This is one of the things that I teach on my, for like whenever I'm teaching, I haven't taught this class in a while, to be honest, but whenever I'm teaching like introduction to 3D or introduction to Maya, which is the usual one that I explain the following example. You guys have probably seen this. So in the real world, right, for us, for human beings, we have a hierarchy organizations. Everything starts with a cell, right? And then a bunch of cells, a clumps of cells, they generate a tissue. And then a bunch of tissues, they generate like an organ, like, you know, like the stomach, right? Oh, that's a horrible stomach. Let me make it a little bit nicer. There we go, like a stomach. So that's the organ. And then from that, we get a system, right? Like the whole like digestive system. And then we get an organism, right? Well, in the 3D world, it's very similar. We also have a hierarchy of things where certain things are going to be smaller or bigger than others. And everything starts with a point, right? The vertex. So the vertex is just a simple element that has 3 coordinates, x, y, and z. And it has a specific location. If you add 2 vertices together, you get the next element, which is an edge. And the only thing that the edge has is a length. That's it. So yes, we have another value or another bit of information because we can calculate the length of that edge, but that's it. The next shape that we get is when you get at least 3 points, and we get, of course, the face. So the face, in this case, the triangle, is the first face, the first 2D shape that we can actually create. Without 3 lines, we cannot have any other shape. It's impossible, right? So this is why everything gets triangulated at the end, because this is the minimum sort of like shape that we can have. Of course, if we add 1 more point, we're going to have the quad. But this is where the fun thing happens. If you add 1 more line, let's say we do a pentagon is nothing more than 1 quad and 1 triangle. If you go to a hexagon, right, it's the exact same thing. You just have triangles and quads inside of the shape. So anytime you see an n-gon, which is any shape that has 5 or more faces, anytime you have an n-gon like this one right here, there's always ways to simplify it. So imagine that this is a normal sort of like polyloop situation where there's a lot of like edges trying to go into the center, and we get this like horrible n-gon right here. What you normally do here is you add 1 point on the center, and then you try to create quads like this. So for instance, that one, or triangles, right? So that it stops. Triangle is the easiest one. We just create a pole and now everything stops right there. But if we want things to flow, for instance, we can make this thing flow into this direction by just crossing this thing like this, right? And now the sort of like the road continues and this guy's flow this way. And then this guy right here, we can make it go this way. And again, this one is now going to flow in this direction. And we're going to be left with this triangle. So eventually, the more lines you add, of course, the more flow you can control, but everything becomes a quad or a triangle at the end of the whole thing. That's how, like, that's why triangles and quads are so important, because they're the fundamental 2D shapes that we have to build any 3D object. Because at the end of the day, any 3D object that you see, like a sphere, it's nothing more than a bunch of planes, right? Like a bunch of flat elements creating that circumference. It's it's like the idea behind like topology. Now, how do you control that topology? Where do you add the important loops for a specific character? Or how do you like manage a specific element? That's the tricky part, right? Let's go for another part, like here, like the what's the word? There's like a bracer right here. So a general rule of thumb when doing retopology is that if an object is changing the silhouette of your element, you want to capture that in the topology. So for instance, we have this little sort of like moon-shaped thing right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like the top part of the moon shape. And then I do need to go in there, right? And I need to capture, since I really want to have a triangle right there. There we go. And I'm going to capture the volume that this thing is generating. Of course, we need to properly place all of these elements right here. Oh, and I'm going to show you a very nice topology trick in just a second. There we go. See that? And now from there, we just keep going. Like eventually we're going to have quads and elements going in all of these different directions. And you usually want to follow the edges, right? You always ask yourself the question. When doing retopology, you always ask yourself the question, like that little guy right there. Is that guy changing the silhouette? No. Then I don't care about it. I don't need to include it in my retopology purposes, because that information is going to be baked down on the normal map, and the normal map will have the detail. We will be able to see that thing sort of like shining and looking nicely in our texture maps, but we really don't care about that. If you're going to be 3D printing this, of course, we're going to follow another thing. Guys, are these new retopologies worth it? We should stick to the old ways. Like, these are totally worth it, man. Like, why wouldn't they be worth it? Like, is there something in particular that you're seeing right now that you're like, I don't know, this doesn't feel like it's gonna work? Because right now, all of this, like, to me, works perfectly. Here's another example. Look at this guy right here. Like, anytime we need to do retopology of a circle thing, we need specific elements. So I'm gonna go here to circles, and I'm gonna use the very basic one. Since this one's a small element, I'm probably gonna be using like 5. So I'm gonna use this one. Put a point, Alt, click and drag to just capture the general silhouette right there. Tap, there we go, right? So now I just continue that down like this, trying to capture most of the edges like this, right? And then like this. And that's it. If I need another line right here, remember spacebar, we can add one right there. Just push this out. And if we don't want all of that elements, just start collapsing points. Right? So this is one way in which we can start creating the topology. And then eventually, of course, that thing right there needs to be stitched to whatever it is that we're like doing down here. I to be honest, guys, I'm not gonna like stop using all of my other softwares, because there are some tools over there that are really, really nice. But for like quick stuff like this, there's like, it's just magic. It definitely feels just like magic. Here's another one. Like, see how there's a little bit of a change on the silhouette on this particular piece right here? Like, Zbrush, don't do this to me, man. See how we have like a different plane, like right there. So we have that like cut. So what I can do here, as someone mentioned a couple of minutes ago, is let's go to Modeler. Let's go to points, and I'm gonna use the slice mesh. I do not want to crease. Then I'm gonna go 1, 2, 1, 1. Why is it not letting me crease? Ah, interesting. Not letting me crease. I think I need to change this. I need to change this to slice mesh again. Do not crease. And face, I'm also gonna change to slice mesh. Do not crease. Click, 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 click. I know I'm getting a lot of triangles. Don't worry about triangles, especially on this kind of stuff. It's really not that big of a deal. We can keep things triangulated. Let's go back to our Retopo brush. And now let's just clean the topology here. There we go. So now, as you can see, I can push this edge right there closer to the border of the actual mesh that I'm trying to capture. There you go. So that when I take a look at the low poly, that low poly has a little bit of a change in elements right there. There has to be a way to delete the edges, but yeah, you can mix and match the different tools if you want. This like range is a screen base, so if we go outside of the range, should be able to get the stuff that we want. Oh, it's gonna crash. Oh, Zbrush, don't crash, not right now. It's hard to grab vertices. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. Are you going to do like an animation or rigging course? No, I don't think so. To be completely honest, I don't think so. Maybe I'll do like rigging videos or some like basic animation videos. But since I'm not a professional animator or a professional rigger, like I don't do that as my main stuff, I would feel like, I don't know, like wrong trying to send you the or teach you something as advanced as that. If I start training on animation and if I start training more on rigging and then I do a course on that, then sure, I'll do it. But for now, that's not on the plans. Yeah, this is gonna crash. I'm pretty sure this is gonna crash now. Let's take a look at the task manager just to see if we can save it. But I'm pretty confident it's gonna crash. Best advice, as with any other software, save and save frequently. Right now, I did not save, so yeah, that's on me. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's not moving at all. It's using 8 gigabytes of RAM, around 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it's thinking quite heavily. Quite heavily. Let's see. Rolling gutters, are you a triangle purist? We just talked about triangles and why they're fine. Those patches are pretty cool when it comes to retopology. There will be a time saver. Yeah. And you can make your own patches as well. I need to, what's the word? I need to look into it, like into the proper process of doing that or following those steps. But you can create your own patches as well. So if there's a specific like configuration that you use frequently, that's something that you can do. Yeah, let's kill this. Let's see. The Retopo is based on still pose or also works for animation? I'm not sure I understand that question. I'm not sure I understand that question. Can I ask one question? Where is the Retopo brush? Yes, of course, my friend. You can ask as many questions as you want. Let's see. So, the Retopo brush you're gonna find inside. Give me 1 second here. The Retopo brush you're gonna find B for brush, R for Retopo, and then it's this one, the Retopo brush. And remember, guys, anytime you have a brush, if you want to add it to your like interface, you can just go to Preferences, Configuration, and then Enable Customize. I'm gonna go to Brush, Control Alt, and drag this guy right here. I'm gonna have it over on this side, and then go back to Preferences. Turn off Enable Customize, and I'm just gonna save this UI. So now, anytime I open my UI, I'm gonna go Preferences, Store Configuration. Okay, I'm gonna have my Retopo brush there. So it's a very good way to get that very quickly in there. Now I want to try something else here. I want to see if I isolate this guy. I'm guessing if I isolate this guy, it's gonna be a lot easier. I mean, this guy, again, already has, like, relatively clean topology. It's not bad. This is not animation topology. It's very dense in certain areas. But it's relatively good. And I want to know, if I click on this, will the Retopo mesh work only on the visible subtools? Because if it does, that's a great stuff. That way we can help Zbrush a little bit, not having to think too much about the rest of the elements. Let's see. Are you planning on showing the Retopo brush for the iPad version as well? You guys want to see it? I can go for the iPad and show it to you. It's the same thing, to be honest. It's exactly the same thing. You said something about not fully moving to Zbrush for Retopo. What's your go-to for that? So the main reason why I'm not gonna do it, like you guys know, I use Topogon, and it's just really good, right? So file. Let me see. What do I have here? One. Yeah, for instance, the shark, right? So this is the shark that we did for the Adobe collaboration, and you can see all of the elements right there. So there's just a couple of tools that I really like about Topogon, and I can show them to you right now. There are like similar things that we can do inside of Zbrush, and the first one is just the tubes tool. So with the tubes tool, I can just go and say, for instance, I want 12 divisions, and I just draw those 12 divisions like that. Right click, and there we go. Just make sure that we follow the same direction. Oh, 1 second there. The line was going in the different direction. Let's go tubes tool. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right click, and there we go. Right. So that. We don't have it on Zbrush yet. So just because of that, when I'm doing like fingers or arms or very cylindrical things like tails and things like that, I mean, what was that? 3 seconds, 4 seconds, right? Rather than extracting a subtool, smoothing it, subdividing it, extruding the edges. So for that kind of stuff, I would probably keep using Topogon. But all of these things, like if I'm normally just like drawing points, like what we normally do here in Topogon, that you can do in Zbrush now. And I'm probably gonna be doing it in Zbrush because it's just a little bit faster, right? Because we're already there. So one thing that you can do, especially if you're a user that has like multiple softwares, start doing Retopology in Zbrush, and then once you get into a point or an area that's getting a little bit tricky, just switch to another software and finish the Retopology there. Eventually, and this is what pretty much every software wants you to do, they want you to stay on the interface or on the environment as much as possible, right? Like they don't want you jumping between stuff. So for instance, they're going to be adding the UV stuff into Zbrush as well, and as long as it works, and it works. Why can't you use ZRemesher for this? Or is it just way better results? It's better result, Alice. So again, it really depends. For a character, ZRemesher is not going to give you the retopology that you need. Here's a perfect example. So this mesh that you see right here, this is a ZRemeshed. And as you can see, it's not bad. Could we animate this? Definitely. Like if I send this to a rigger, they're going to be able to animate it, and that's fine. But it's very unoptimized, right? We have so many extra points. We might have spirals here and there. Some of the forms are not being captured like perfectly. So even though it is possible to animate with something like this, the clean topology will usually give you the best result. If you're under time pressure, if you don't have the budget to do everything super clean, then sure, like you can again get away with trying to get the cleanest topology with this thing. But for instance, there's other examples. I have it with the dagger. Let me see if I have the right here. 1 second. Should be on Marmoset. File recent. Where is it? Scene. Dagger. So this dagger that we did a couple of weeks ago, well, we did the whole process. If you take a look at the wireframe, you're gonna see that it's quite optimized for low poly games. So again, things like World of Warcraft, League of Legends, that kind of stuff. And ZRemesher is never gonna give you this ever. Like there's no way you're gonna be able to optimize it. So this whole thing, the whole like dagger, it's 4,000 triangles for the main shape, and then the teeth are like 300 triangles. So it's less than 5,000 triangles for the whole dagger. And this level of retopo is not something that you're gonna be able to get like automatically, because there's a lot of like specific decisions that we need to make sure that we capture the silhouette as best as possible, which is what we're gonna end up seeing inside of a game, right? So again, it really depends. And I did you guys see the little short that got us a little bit viral the other day on the what's the word, on the on freaking like Instagram and stuff, where I said topology doesn't matter or poly count doesn't matter? Of course, that was a little bit of rage baiting, but the point is that topology doesn't matter. Polycount doesn't matter because every project is different. So this topology that I'm showing you right here with ZRemesher, this could be a perfectly valid topology for a specific type of project. This topology that we see right here, where everything is super low poly, that's another one that it's very sort of like specific for a type of project. So every single type of project will have a different type of topology. First thoughts on Zbrush Retopo versus Retopo Flow Topogon. I still think Topogon is like top tier. Like you wanted a tier list, right? So in my tier list, I still keep Topogon at the top element for Retopology. Then I'm gonna place Zbrush with these new things, especially because of the patches. Like the patches that they added are just like amazing, an amazing way to make these things very, very fast. But there's a couple of tools that Topogon has that I do like in terms of control. For instance, the snapping to center of specific vertices, like selecting vertices a little bit more easily. The curves tool or the tubes tool, it's also very, very good. But for a lot of the stuff, Zbrush is gonna be perfectly fine. Then we're gonna have Retopo Flow. Retopo Flow 3 is really good, and it's also free, so that's great. The Retopo Flow 4 I have not tried yet, but that one would be on probably a third place. And the reason why I'm going to place Retopo Flow on third place is mainly because of performance, because I know that even though Blender has improved its performance quite a bit in the last patches, you're still not going to beat Zbrush performance with millions of points and Topogon performance as well with millions of points. So those stay at the top. Then 3D Code, or maybe 3D Code right there with Retopo Flow. 3D Code has some really, really cool like retopology tools as well. And unfortunately, at the very end, even though that's the one that I've used the most in my history, it's gonna be Maya. Maya is really good. Like Quattro has been like it revolutionized things quite a bit like 10 years ago, but nowadays it definitely feels like it's a little bit outdated. Performance is not good in Retopo Flow. For me, it's been like really good, man. Like I haven't had any issues in terms of performance. I haven't had any issues. Retopo Flow gives you a warning up to one. Really? Like most of the times I've worked, like I don't know how many polygons I have with this one right here. Well, yeah, I'm at a little bit less than 1 million polygons. Yeah, like normally, yes, you're still gonna be using like a decimated version or a decimated mesh, but I do like the stuff here in Retopo Flow. Let's see. Have you used any Retopo tool on Blender that you would recommend? Retopo Flow. I've used Retopo Flow on Blender, and that one's good. Okay. Let's see. It will be quicker to just manually retopo your mouth instead of forcing it with ZRemesher. Yeah. Certain things are a little bit. Topogun is free. No, Topogun is not free. But the cool thing about Topogun is that it's a single license, right? So you buy it once and that's it. Do you have a plan to have a course on retopoing hard surface for subdiv modeling and retopo again? I don't think I'm gonna do a full course, but we already did that. Didn't we do that already? I'm pretty sure I did. Like on the last video. Have you not seen the last video of Rolling Gutters? The one with the shoulder pad armor? So that one we did a little bit of that, where we sculpted and then retopo and then resculpted again. So los dientes de la daga están conectados en un solo mesh o son separados? Son separados. Yeah. So the teeth on this dagger, they're separated because it's a lot easier to retopologize and to texture and everything. So once you take a look at the texture, you really don't see that as much because of the shadows and everything. But yeah, the teeth are like a separated mesh. Retopo Flow is having problems with Blender 5.0. Always I go out of the tool, Blender crashes. I haven't tried Retopo Flow on the latest Blender, but on Blender 4.5, if I'm not mistaken, Retopo Flow was working quite nicely. Thank you for the follow. Oh, we got a lot of follows that I haven't seen. So we got Rica Pibis, Marcos de Anda, Waton Agustin, Sprewex, Donatien, and Absinthe Agro. Thank you guys. Thank you. Do you know how to remove the orange dotted line icon in the subtools when using the Retopo tool? That's a great question. I don't know. Does it really bother you that much? Like, I'm not exactly sure if it's possible to remove. They mentioned on the stream that this is just an indicator that some retopology stuff was done there, but it shouldn't affect anything else. It's just like a visual indicator, so you know where you were doing your retopology. But I don't think we need to, like, I don't know if it's possible to remove, to be honest, but I don't think it's gonna be that much of an issue either. So yeah, pentagons, hexagons, octagons, decagons, dodecagons. I think I've shared all of the tools here. Am I missing any tool in terms of retopology? Outside of the mesh, hold, control, and drag, and the points will... Yeah, of course. Motion. I'm trying to think if we're missing any tool that they showcase with this guys right here. But I don't think so. No, I've pretty much shown everything. Let's see. Wrap what? Wrap the session? Nah, we can still do something here. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? When are we getting a hard surface modeling course? I don't think do we not have one? Do we not have one? We have the Axe course that goes a little bit over hard surface stuff. The thing is, if I were to do a hard surface course, I would need to do it inside of Maya. And I know a lot of people don't use Maya. They prefer to use Blender for hard surface things. So I don't know. How can we tell where to use triangles? That's a great question. So triangles should be on areas where there's not going to be a lot of deformation. Oh yes, I wanted to show you this one. So this is a little bit of an old school thing. This is something that I learned from Ryan Kingsleyan. You guys probably have heard of him. He's another like a veteran of the Zbrush world. And I'm going to go here to my paintbrush. And one of the things that you can do to help you on your retopology journey is to paint the character. So I'm going to go here, color, fill object, to fill the object with white. And I'm going to go and grab like a red color. And what I can do, of course, with symmetry enabled is I can draw where I want my retopology to flow. So this is following one of the things that you mentioned about, like, how do we know where to place triangles? Well, for instance, I know that by default we need to have a loop that usually goes, for instance, around this area right here, and we're also going to have a loop that goes straight down the middle of the character. We also have like a loop that goes around the pectoral muscle like this, and this loop usually loops around the this area right here and goes to the back of the character. This creates what I call the Batman cape, right? So I can paint all of these things right here and create or give myself an idea of where I want my topology to be flowing, right? So you can see how easy it is to plan ahead, sort of like plan ahead, and give myself a nice sort of like drawing point or starting point on where or how I want my topology to flow. So there you go. For instance, here we get a triangle right here on a relatively important area. Is that triangle valid? Like, can we use that triangle in the reconstruction or building of our retopology? And the answer is yes, as long as it's going in the same direction of the edge flow and it's not on an area that's going to bend, right? Like that thing's gonna twist, that thing's gonna move, but it's not gonna actually like bend, right? Like it's not gonna create like this or like a bend. So as long as you're not there, you're fine. Same for instance here on the arms. Like of course the arms are gonna have this sort of like cylindrical like flow going around. But if every now and then you need a little bit of a triangle here or here, usually those triangles are perfectly fine. I'm going to give you another example. So you guys know that there are sites where you can check some like models, right? And there's one that I love for League of Legends. League of Legends called modelviewer.lol. I'm not sure if there's other like model viewers, but the cool thing about this one's right here is that you can actually go into the models, right? Check the different like poses, animations, so you can study so much from these elements. I'm not sure if this is legal, like I'm pretty sure it's not, but Riot doesn't care too much. I know that they sometimes allow this kind of stuff for cosplayers as well, so the cosplayers can you know, like get like the proper references and proportions and everything. But for instance, this one right here, it actually allows you to export this as an STL, so you can export the STL and study the wireframe, like study how they created the one thing. So that you can just like follow along with it, right? So like this right here, this is gold. Of course, you need to know like the proper techniques and tools, but having access to this kind of models is really good. And I know Overwatch models have been filtered. I know Marvel Rivals models have been filtered. Like pretty much any game you can imagine, the assets have been filtered, right? Because people do this like a backward engineer thing and do that. You could show the Excel model. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Lord Tellum, you're right. So here, we have it here. Open scene. So, and the reason why I'm going to show this model is because Lord Tellum was kind enough to rig this model. So he actually rigged this model, and he knows what things work and what things doesn't work because he actually rigged the model. So we have actual proof that the positioning and things for the model are working. So on these things right here, if we go to the wireframe, you're gonna see that I added some triangles, for instance, here on the deltoid, right? Let me go like gray. Yeah, so there's a triangle right there. There's triangles right here under her breast. There's another triangle right here on her rib cage. Even on the face, right? Like even on important parts or interesting parts of her face, like of course the inside of the nostrils right there. A couple of them here on the mouth. Some here on the neck. The ear has a bunch of triangles. Of course, the hair is like heavily triangulated to capture all of the silhouette. This mask over here, I mean, the mask is a lot easier because for the mask, it's not going to bend, it's not going to deform. It's like a hard surface object. So there's a lot of like elements right there that are triangulated. And again, as long as they're not affecting the silhouette or they're helping with you with the silhouette, then having triangles is absolutely perfect. What the Blue says, hey Abe, just one thing to say, thanks. You're welcome, my friend. Is it okay to share more sites like that in the chat? No, we don't have any, like we don't allow any links to be shared on the chat for safety reasons, but you can go into the Discord channel and either on the help room or the whips room or the resources room, I believe you can share stuff. So if you have sites, again, as long as they're not illegal, they're fine. So here, as I was mentioning, what we can do is we can sort of like plan ahead and be like, okay, this is roughly the topology that I want for my character. So like following the main shapes of the body and making sure things flow in the proper direction. There's gonna be points like this one right here where I'm gonna find like what's the word? A specific like point or like a pole that I'm gonna need to fix or to solve. But in general, we can get this. And once we have this, we can jump into the Retopology tool. And there you go. Like, we just go to the Retopology brush and you have your guide. It's literally like fill in the dots, right? So just place the dots in all of the different points that you just like drew on top of the whole thing. And that's going to make the whole Retopology a lot easier. Because now we just fill in the gaps. Start filling in all of the squares right there. And if our squares are clean enough, right, and separated enough from the rest of the element, it should be fairly easy to just fill all of these areas, right? So yeah, so you just paint the wireframe, like you sort of plan ahead on where you want your topology to be, and once your topology is there, it's just a matter of filling in the gaps. This is, of course, a very low version of the element, but now I'm going to show you another trick, right? Let me just finish this thing right here. Let me just delete all of these things we don't need. Oh. Remember, if you want to clear points, control and drag. So again, we just fill all of this information right there. All of this right here. Let me finish the pectoral muscle and a little bit of the shoulder right here, and then I'll show you one more trick that we can do. Again, I love the fact that it allows for triangles because, as I mentioned, triangles are important. There we go. All right, we'll just fill here, 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 and here. So if you take a look at the low poly, this is what we have. Is this great? No. But is this good? Yes, because it follows the general shapes of the elements that we want. So one of the things that I can do here, as I've mentioned before, just go to geometry, divide this thing one time, delete the lower elements, and now you're going to be left with this. A lot more geometry, right? Of course, this is not conforming perfectly to the element, so the only thing you need to do here is just hit a little bit of smooth, and when we smooth, this thing is going to conform to the surface. And that's it. Like all of the points, all of the elements are gonna like literally conform to the surface. And now if we take a look at this thing right here, that's way better, right? Like that works, like that is just like very, very nice. The problem I usually run into with Retopology is I usually go too low. No, I love going very low. Like going low is the way to go when you're doing Retopology, because you go low and then, as you just saw right here, Lord Tellum, once you have a nice like base or a nice flow with the Retopology, you subdivide. You subdivide as many times as you need to get into a better resolution, like what we have right here, and there we go. Say now if you want to keep this. Yeah, I mean, it's just an exercise right now, so I don't care too much. But the reason why I don't like going this high at the early stages of the retopology process is because now, if I want to keep working on this thing, as you can imagine, and I want to draw more like little points on this area, I'm going to have to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? And I'm going to have to go there pretty much every single face and just like fill that face, and it just becomes a lot more tedious, right? Like you're gonna have like this is a very common issue that my students make when I'm teaching them retopology. They go very high very soon, and if you do that, what happens or what ends up happening is you're gonna have to work more, because you're gonna have to draw every single little like square or every single little element more times, and that might not be as efficient as starting low and then subdividing to get a higher mesh. Yeah, exactly. Start filtration. Like if you start really high in the early stages, then it's gonna take forever, and then you're not gonna be able. And unfortunately, if you start very high and then you start drawing elements, you're not gonna be able to reconstruct subdivisions, because as you can see, you don't have an even amount of like squares. You're now adding more elements, so you're stuck with this. If you want to finish this, you're gonna have to continue working with these elements and just like get the result that you want. Could you avoid some triangles if you had more points, right? Yes. If you have more points, you're gonna usually be able to avoid the triangles. But again, as I mentioned, Masuta, triangles are not your enemies. Don't be triangle phobic. Triangles are perfectly fine. We can use them. They're very, very nice. Now here, for instance, I know this is going to be a relatively sort of like straight effect. So one thing that I can do is, again, with Alt, I'm just going to drag and drop like that, and then click on this thing and add more divisions. We can even find the exact number that we had before. And then just Alt. This is what Alt drag, and then Alt drag again, Alt drag again, and Alt and drag one last time right there, and then just click, right? And boom, there we have it. So now we only need to go and start sort of like joining these things together, and it's gonna be a lot faster. Does that make sense? And as someone mentioned, if you press the space bar while hovering over this thing, we can add another edge loop right there. And again, sort of like help us with this whole situation. Smooth the whole thing, and that's it. Let's see. Why did Maxim postpone the UV room update? I don't know. I mean, you already have some like nice like UV tools here. They're not the best, but for instance, let's say I want to do the retopology for this, right? Like, we're ready and I want to do it. The best way that you can do this, I'm going to go to just standard brush, is with polygroups. So if I go polygroups and I select lasso, I can select, for instance, this back part right there. clean that selection as much as possible. Press Ctrl W so that we have 2 polygroups right there. And then let's say we want to like split the chest in half. So I just remove symmetry, hide half of the element right there, Ctrl W, and there we go. We have pretty much 4 islands right here. If I go to C plugin, I can do UV master, and on UV master, I'm gonna remove symmetry and keep polygroups and hit unwrap. And what that will do is crash Zbrush, and now you're free to go and live your life. You're no longer enslaved to the software. Freaking Zbrush, man. But what that should do is it should, what's the word? It should do the UV maps for every single island. Oh, man. Now you're free. You're no longer a 3D artist, and just go live your life. What is the best way to make game ready chainmail? To bake that down. You want me to show you? I can show you. Like, let's say if we actually save something here. It doesn't seem like we did, but oh man. Oh man. Do you think Zbrush is going to cover all the stages of creating 3D models in the future? Once they do the UV stuff, if it's good, the only last thing that they're gonna be missing is baking. I don't think they're gonna go into baking. Like, they haven't gone into baking. Right now, by default, like without using plugins, the only thing that you can bake is, if I'm not mistaken, a normal map and a displacement map. So unless they want to go into that whole thing, it's not going to work. But yeah, it's I think that's where it's gonna stop. Like, you finish your UVs, they're very clean, they're very nice, and then you jump into the next stage. So chainmail, the easiest way to make chainmail is just to bake that down, man. We've talked about that before. I think I've shown an example where we do like something, but here let me show you real quick how I will do it, and hopefully we can showcase the the stuff. So let's say I want to extract a UV, like a chainmail stuff from this guy right here. So I'm gonna use my select lasso, and I'm going to select the area where I would expect the chainmail to be. So something like that, right? Like this right here. So I'm gonna clone this, and on this one right here, I'm gonna delete hidden. And then one thing I can do is I can go to deformation, and I can polish by features. So polish by features will try to sort of like smooth the edge. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna smooth the edge right there. Now let's hope that this doesn't die with the UV master, but usually a chainmail will be made on the arms. So something like that. Right, and then we're gonna have I'm gonna Control W, and then I'm gonna have the back and the front, so something like that. Wait a second. Here, delete hidden. Have layers. Oh, bake all. Bake all. Then again, grab this whole thing. Then delete hidden. There we go. And now I'm gonna go again deformation. Polish by features, and then I'm going to take the arms out, Control W, and then take this out, and Control W. There we go. Now what I'm gonna do to clean that stuff a little bit, there is a special smooth brush. Some of you guys have seen it before. It's smooth, and it's called smooth by polygroups. So I'm gonna press Shift, and then in smooth groups, this one right here. So when I do that, as you can see, it's gonna try to clean that edge and give me a cleaner like line between the polygroups. So that's a good way to avoid having that sort of like jaggedy edge or jaggedy effect. So it's really good. So as you can see, we have this, right? We have this like a four elements right there, like 4 islands. Let's try this again. I'm just going to do a quick save in case we need to get back to this point. We're going to go C plugin. We need to be in the lowest subdivision level, UV master. And again, I'm just going to select polygroups and hit unwrap. There you go. So that one worked this time around. We're going to go to UV map. And if we morph the UV, you're going to see that we have this. Is this perfect? No, it's not a perfect like thing, but it works, right? Like it's gonna, like it can give us a nice texture for this thing. So if I go to the highest subdivision, or actually, let's keep this one right here. Let's delete that. So I'm going to duplicate this. And on this one right here, I'm going to delete the high polys. So delete higher. And then we're gonna use nano mesh, no, array mesh. No, nano mesh. Where is it? Was it nano mesh? Yeah, nano mesh. Mesh. Sit with like Subdiv. I haven't done this in a while. Geometry, dynamic subdiv. Let's turn this off. I was pretty sure it was nanomesh. The Zbrush for iPad work for you? Yeah, it works. Like for me, it works. What iPad do you have? I have an iPad Gen 10. It's not an iPad Pro or anything, but it's the Gen 10, and it does work. Let's turn array mesh on. And then not array mesh though. Convert to nano? No. It was nano mesh. Why is this not on? What am I missing here? Oh, micropoly. There you go. I'm gonna use micropoly. So I'm gonna use micropoly here. I'm gonna use chainmail. There you go. So as you can see now, what is happening is we're using that chainmail element, and it's going to every single like a square, right? And it's actually creating the mesh. It's not gonna be perfect because the geometry, as you can see, it's not perfect. We can try playing with some of the like the scale right here. But it's not really gonna give us the result. We can try. Let's try a simpler one, like this chainmail linked. There you go. Change the scale to 1. Let's try to align. There you go. So again, it's not perfect, but it's giving us this sort of like chainmail effect. And as you can see, it actually has like transparency on, right? So we can see through the element. So this right here, I'm gonna hit apply, and what this will do is this is now actual geometry, right? So this is my high poly right here. So once I have this, let me just quickly export this. So I'm gonna export this. Let's just do it here on Temple, and we're gonna do FBX. It's gonna be chainmail. There we go. Hit OK. And then we're gonna go to the other subtool once this finished exporting. Let's go to this subtool right here, and we're also gonna export this. This is the low poly. So chainmail low. There we go. Okay. And now we can go to Substance Painter. Can that be 3D printed? If you're patient enough to do all of the supports for that, sure. Like this is actual geometry. So this is actual geometry right here. The only problem is that there's a lot of like non-manifold geometries, like open holes. So if I wanted to 3D print this, what I would do is go to geometry, and they modify topology and try the close hole options. So all of the caps are closed. Now this is a watertight mesh, and technically you can 3D print this. Like with all of the empty spaces, it's gonna be tricky to support, right? Because you're probably gonna have a lot of like islands, but it's possible. Again, I wouldn't I wouldn't enjoy that process, to be honest, but it is possible. Let's do 2K so that we don't crash my computer, because we got a lot of stuff open. Let's open the chainmail low, hit OK. There we go. So you can see that's our basic element right there. We go to bakes. Again, let's do a 2K bake. We grab our chainmail high, hit open. That's our chainmail right there. As you can see, it's covering like enough. Like we wouldn't have too many like bad islands. But the important thing here is you need to bake opacity right here. If you don't bake opacity, then this thing's not gonna work. We sampled this at 4x4 bake. There we go. And now we go to paint mode, and we need to go to the options and change the material to something like the PBR with metal blending. There we go. Now I'm gonna add a new layer, fill layer. This is going to be an opacity layer. We need to add the opacity channel, of course. So over here on the shader, not here, on here, we need to make sure that we add the opacity channel. There we go. Now on the layers, on that fill layer that we did, I'm going to use everything except for opacity. You can see that with opacity, we can turn things on and off. And sorry. On this one, we just look for the opacity map that we baked, and boom, there you go. So now we have you've successfully baked the information here from this thing, and we can grab, for instance, I think I have like a rusty metal here, yeah, like this chrome rusty metal, right? So we can have the metallic, like, thank you guys. With this you can have the metallic chainmail stuff. If you have the character underneath, you're gonna be able to see the character, of course. Is this expensive in terms of performance? A little bit, because of the opacity and transparency. It's always going to be a little bit expensive. But yeah, this is your low poly stuff, right? So here, I'm gonna add a fill layer, for instance. Let's make this metal. Let's push the color down a little bit. Let's do roughness. Let's make this a little bit less rough, so it's, you know, a little bit more shiny. Definitely metallic. Maybe that's a little bit too dark. So something like that. And the cool thing is, remember, all of these things right here, we have all of the layers. So if we were to add like a black mask, and we add a generator, and we add like a dirt generator, let's just remove the hide information because it's a little bit too overwhelming. But you can see that the rust is going into the actual metal, right? So the points where the chainmail is contacting this whole thing, you're gonna see that. Of course, if we change this to like a 4K texture, it's gonna look a little bit sharper, right? But yeah, this is how I would do. Like, if I had to do like actual chainmail and keep it as efficient as possible, this would be the way to do it. Most like games, they're just gonna like make the link thick enough that it overlaps with all of the other rings, and there's no transparency. It still looks like chainmail, but it's not actual chainmail, and that's it. Ham says he's just clicking buttons and somehow things are happening. No, man, this is just like knowing the process, right? All of these things, by the way, on the what's the word, on the Substance Painter course, we cover that. So this is one of our best-selling courses. So in the Substance Painter course, Dor has like a chainmail or like a scale mail like shirt under his armor, and we go over all of these things that I'm just mentioning: baking, like UVs, like preparing all of this stuff. It's a lot of information. I'm not gonna deny it, but I've been doing this for 15 years, guys. So all of these things is just like repetition, and it becomes sort of like second nature after a while, because you already know what you're looking for. Let's see. So I can use the same mesh that I used to create chainmail also for baking. Yes, of course. That's your high poly. So you can use that as your of your mesh. And yes, as you're mentioning right there, Baki Yaxdindar, you can use this in other softwares. You don't necessarily need to use Substance Painter. You do this in the Marmoset. You can do this in Blender. It's just generate your high poly, you extract your low poly, you have proper UVs on your low poly, and then you transfer all of that information. What you've shown is probably 1 year of learning easy. No, or like 6 months. Like, if you really want to do it, it's probably like 6 months. Because you need to know about high poly creation, you need to know about UVs, you need to know about bakes, and you need to know about texturing, right? So those are like four disciplines of the whole process, and then yeah, you definitely can do that. Could have used this trick in my Joan of Arc project. I have a Joan of Arc project that I never finished. It was not. You want to see it? You guys want to see it? It's fun. It's fun to show unfinished projects as well every now and then. Well, it's not a finished project. Like, this was actually it was supposed to be one of my portfolio pieces when I graduated. This is, again, almost like 10 years ago, and I didn't finish it. Unfortunately. Or I mean, I finished it, but I didn't like the result. Actually, my teacher also did not like the result. This was supposed to be, or this is the concept piece that I found. I should try doing it again. I think I can definitely do a better job now after 10 years. And I really like the composition. This is by Miguel Coimbra. So it was this concept right here. I'm not sure if it was Joan of Arc, but I call her Joan of Arc because it reminds me of her. But yeah, I tried my best and I failed. It was an ambitious one, to be honest. Like, even my teacher was like, "That's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to solve, man. You're gonna have to do fabrics and armor, and you're gonna have to do like the head and the hair." And let me show you my result. Again, not a good result. This is not one that I'm proud of. That's why it's not on my portfolio even. But this was my final sort of like configuration here. Horrible. Horrible. The hair's not even sculpted, it's just painted in. The face, so many proportion issues there on the face and anatomy stuff that looks very, very bad. I couldn't figure out the battleground, so I ended up doing this horrible pillars right there. Armor's not that bad. Like, armor is okay. Like, I could probably rescue some of the armor pieces, but I missed a lot of the silhouette stuff. The fabric on her dress, oh my god, looks horrible. Again, the sword, another texture pass could probably, again, make it work. But yeah, this was Abe's work when I graduated. This was, again, like, what, 2002, not 2002, 10 years ago. You guys want to see something? I'm gonna show you something, but I'm gonna have to hide some stuff. So give me 1 second here. Alan and David already saw it, but I'm gonna keep a little bit of the surprise for you. Give me 1 second. I mean, you already saw it. It was the helmet. You remember the helmet that we did a couple of weeks ago for Blender? So I went ahead and did the full retopology, the full sort of like render stuff, like everything. And you're gonna see, like, this is what you learn as an artist, right? As you keep improving in your as you keep improving your craft, you eventually get to a nice point here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so thing is be a little bit of a surprise later on. So 1 second, there we go. So this is it. So you probably remember, again, we were sculpting this helmet inside of Blender a couple of weeks ago, and I just went ahead and did pretty much the full production pipeline for this thing. I'm missing a little bit of light here. Let me just add it. Let me just add another point of light here. Let's do a spotlight. There you go. So we can actually see a little bit more of the material right there. Yeah. Spot angle, a little bit more diameter. Let's change the temperature, make it a little bit warmer. There you go. So this is the thing. Like, on this one, I did heavily optimize things, so you can see that this is very, very low poly. To be honest, we only have for the whole helmet 6,000, a little bit over 6,000 triangles, and we have both sides of the helmet, right? We got the little belt and everything. So this is what I meant. Like, this picture that you just saw, this was what Abe could do in terms of like modeling and texturing 10 years ago. And this is what I graduated with. I was able to get a job with, not this piece in particular, but it's one of those things that you... Like, this was my skill level. So what I want to show you with this is, it's perfectly fine if you're a student and you're a junior artist, your stuff might not look as great at first, but you should be capable with the tools, and as long as you keep improving, as long as you keep learning, then eventually you're gonna be able to like I like push this out in an afternoon, literally. Like, we did the sculpt in the morning with Blender, and during the weekend, a couple of like 3 hours of time that I had, I just did the retopology, bakes, and texturing, and like, I'm really happy with this whole thing. Let's see. You learn by making something and correcting the mistakes and searching for tutorials how to do specific stuff. It's not tough, never was. I mean, it is tough. I'm not gonna say like learning process is not tough. It definitely has a specific learning curve that you need to go through, but it is possible. So I'm gonna give you the 3 main advices that I've been following for myself and that I was given when I'm learning. When you're doing a piece, you need to have your own old pieces as benchmark. That's important, right? So I knew what I did, again, 10 years ago in terms of my like modeling and texturing, and I know that for my next piece I need to be better than this. So you need to have a lot of self-reflection and understand what are the things that I did wrong back in the day, like what things were looking like just not good. Maybe it was modeling stuff, maybe it was sculpting stuff, maybe it was bakes, or maybe it was texture or presentation, right? So figure out what things you don't like about your own work first, and then improve that on your new pieces. Second, as you mentioned, if you don't know how to do something, you need to look for information. It could be a course, it could be a mentorship, it could be some tutorials on YouTube. Like, there's going to be information out there that you can use to improve your own stuff. And last but not least, one of the most important things about this whole thing is you need to learn to see things. Okay, this is like the most valuable advice that I can give you, my friends. So if we go online and we look for old armor Italian helmet, I probably will find this one right here. When you're looking for information, right, when you're looking for some references, you need to learn to see a reference and understand what it is about this reference that you like what makes this reference right here. Let's copy this. Let's bring it right here. So if I take a look at the reference, I need to understand, okay, what makes this thing look so cool? Is it the difference in values, in materials? Is it the difference on hues? Is it the way the silhouette changes across the different surfaces, right? Is it the fact that surfaces are not like sculpted from one single piece, but rather just like overlapped on top of each other? All of those little details, all of those little things are what makes this like interesting helmet, well, so interesting, right? Of course, the texture variation, of course, the light situation, of course, the materials that we're using here, but you're not going to learn about this unless you actually study your reference. You guys have no idea, and this is why I get so angry with some students. I've had some students on the past who are like, "Oh, teacher, I'm not improving. I'm not really like feeling like I've like done anything like cool in the past couple of months." And the first question I ask them is, "Are you studying? Like, are you actually researching? Are you actually reading about the stuff? Are you actually understanding fundamentals of art? Are you actually comparing your stuff to what people are doing as like their main pieces on ArtStage or on games?" And the answer is like, "No, I just open Zbrush and I just like start sculpting." Then you're being stupid. I'm sorry, but you're practicing without focus. You're practicing without goal. And if you do that, then you're not going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. So the big question is, okay, how do I study? How could I study something like this? Might be someone's question, right? Let me show you. I'm gonna copy this. And this is like like a little masterclass on reference. I think I already have a video about how to pick a project, but I don't have a video about this, which is, okay, how do I learn from a reference? Like, how can I extract information? And the answer is, first of all, think about the modeling, right? Like, let's divide this into 3 stages. We're actually going to learn 3 things today, guys. So welcome to Apes Leal's class on how to get the most information out of a model, right? So the first thing that you ask, or the first thing that I ask myself is, what's the model about, right? Make this a little bit smaller. So this is way smaller. So the first thing is modeling and sculpting. So if I'm going to be modeling this thing, I need to understand that not every single piece of this element is the same piece. For instance, this earpiece right here, this earpiece protection, I can very easily tell that there's a border there, right? That was probably either welded or hammered or I don't know. But this piece right here needs to be modeled as a separate piece, because if I model this as a separate piece, then that little thing that I see right here, right? Like that division, that nice little dark area, that cavity that we see right there, is going to be visible on my model. This thing right here, I don't see too much of that cavity, so yeah, potentially we could model this as part of the same element, but normally you might want to separate things. This visor right thing, definitely, you can see the little like knob right there, so this is a different piece. You don't need to model it as a single piece for your high poly. For your low poly, sure, you might need to optimize things a little bit more, or what's the word, or just like have it as a separate, or like a single watertight mesh, but you're probably going to be modeling this piece as a separate piece. You're going to be modeling this mousse as a separate piece, all of this. Eventually, again, on your high poly or your low poly, you're going to be baking everything into a single mesh, but it's fine if you split things into parts. When you're modeling anything, you don't need to keep everything as a single piece. You can split it into parts, and you're going to get a more realistic high poly, and therefore a more realistic low poly, right? Or a more realistic final asset. So that's the first thing. Second thing, what do I see here? Changes in the silhouette of the element or in the surface of the element. So I see very noisy information here. All of that, like, let me change colors. So I see a lot of stuff right here. All of this surface change, right? Like all of these bumps, how they sort of like go into this flat area right here, this chip area right there, how this thing is like really damaged over on this side, how things are not perfect, right? Like there's a little bit of variation on the line. So all of those things, those are things that again, I'm going to be incorporating on my high poly, so that when I bake this down, I'm going to be able to get a nice result. Any questions on the low poly, right? No? Or on the modeling side of things? Here's another one, and this is very, very important. When you're dealing with something, always check your proportions. Another very common mistake when people are learning to do anything, the proportions are off. So if I do 1 point right here, and I do 1 point at the lower section of this thing right here, that line right there represents how tall this thing should be. I'm gonna show you a trick right here. This is something that I've been teaching my mentees in the last mentorships that I've been doing. Draw a very simple polygon across your element in a new layer inside of Photoshop. Like if you're doing quad draw, right, on top of the whole thing right here, like this, and then for instance use a different color for like the helmet, so like this, right? Just a very simple polygon. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you do that, that guy right there tells me the proportions of things. A very common mistake that people make is when they're trying to model something, they'll model it, but then the proportions are going to be like this, right? Like the earpiece is very, very small, or maybe the earpiece is very, very big. So all of those things are things that you want to avoid. You don't want to mix or like fail on your proportions. And the easiest way to do that is literally just draw on top of it so that you understand how big something is. Because with these elements right here, now you can actually create relationships, right? When again, when thinking about this thing for the portfolio, what the hell? Why is this not drawing? Layers hidden. There we go. So if I know that that's going to be the proportion, I need to respect that proportion when creating my own stuff. Okay? So that's the way you learn about modeling. You study the proportions, you study the silhouette, you study the forms, you study the surface, and then you try to replicate that inside of Zbrush. You don't know how to do that inside of Zbrush. Maybe you're just starting and you're like, hey, I don't really know how to even start with the blocking or like the creation of stuff. Again, that's where you learn. And not that I want to make this into a commercial, right? But if you want to learn the basics of Zbrush, the best course that we have right now is this one, the Zbrush Stylist Character. It teaches you Zbrush from scratch, and you're going to be able to learn how to transfer all of the information from a concept into this character right here. Anyway, now, next stage. The next stage is going to be texturing. Now we learn about texturing. Okay, how can I make these textures look a lot more interesting? Like I want to make sure that my element looks as nice as possible when I'm texturing. Well, you learn about values. You grab the color palette. You go for the color of the rust. You go for the color of the metal. You go for the color of some of the other rust, which is a little bit more like a green tone. You extract this information and you figure out, hey, for instance, the rust here, it's not a soft rust. It's a very harsh rust where we can actually see this thing. Let me show you a trick that you can do for textures. So if you have an element like this one right here and you want to appreciate the values of your element a little bit better, first of all, you can desaturate this whole thing. So if you desaturate everything, you're going to be able to appreciate just the lights and darks of the element, and you're going to be able to know how dark or how light the helmet should be. So if I ask you right now, should the helmet be a light color metal or a dark color metal? What would be the answer? A very simple answer, right? Like if you take a look at the value, at the local color values of this helmet right here, what should be the value of the helmet? Light value or dark value? What do we need? Just ran out of water. Oh man, go get some water. Are you guys there? Or there you go, solid mango. The chat suddenly got silent. Maybe I got a little bit too excited with my little class here, but yeah, that's right, guys. Dark values. So more often than not, for this particular helmet, most of your elements are going to be relatively dark. How dark? You check. You literally grab your dropper right here and you start like sampling the colors and you check the values. So for instance here I have values. If I just hover my mouse, I can see that most of my values are between 10%, 20%, 30%, maybe some 40% if we go high enough right here. But we don't have pure white, and we also don't have pure black. Like the darkest value right here is like 8%. So we need to be very careful about the kind of values that we pick. So that's one option. Second option, if you grab your image and you go here into Photoshop and you go to filter, and then it's image, and then adjustments, and there's one that's called posterize. So what posterize does is it crunches all of the values into very few levels. So right now those are 4 levels, and we could go even lower to like 2 levels, 4, 5, 14. So in this case, it works a little bit better on the black and white image. There we go. So image, adjustments, and then posterize. So what this does is it groups your values. So it takes all of the values from certain ranges and it crunches them down into a specific element, right? So if you take a look at this, most of the values, again, they're very dark. Most of my values are on this dark color value, and then we have this very dark gray, and then we have this light value, which is not as light as we might think. It's only 70% white, and only then we have some specific highlights right around here that are actually pure white, right? So this is another way in which you study textures. You understand, hey, most of my textures are going to be very, very dark, and I'm only going to have a specific level of like glossiness in certain areas, right? Or sort of like highlight on certain areas. Once you have this, the next thing that you do is you check for roughness. Like, how is the general roughness of the whole thing? And you're going to see that there's certain areas like this moons right here where roughness is very, very high. And then you're going to have other areas where glossiness is a little bit higher, like here, where we have a lot of like intensity on the tones. That's what I did for this helmet right here. If you take a look at the, let me see if I can check. I'm not sure if I can check the roughness pass here. Lightning, diffuse, material values. There we go. So if we go to the roughness right here, you're going to see that there's variation on the roughness on my helmet. Most of it has the exact same roughness, but there's certain areas where there's way more roughness and certain areas where there's less roughness. If we combine that pass, of course, with the metalness pass, there we go, you're going to see more variation on the metalness. So we combine both of those passes together, and that's how we get this thing right here. Right, to get like the exact sort of like shine and effect that we want for the helmet. Keep in mind, this camera has a little bit of post-production, so if we go to the main camera doesn't have too much variation. It looks a little bit flatter, and this is the reference that I was following. The reference was quite flat, so that's what I'm going for, right? So that's how you study the texture. Like, you follow and look at how is the roughness, how is the metalness, how is the color variation, where is my rust located, right? Because you can see, for instance, the rust here is not going to be everywhere. Rust is going to be mostly on the areas where we expect humidity, right, and water to accumulate a little bit more. So on this lower sections right here, the top section or this flat sections right here where water is just going to run down and not going to stay there, we're not going to have too much rust. Those are the kind of things that you need to look for, okay? Those are the kind of things that you need to take a look when you're thinking about a specific texturing deals, okay, or texture reference. Like, that's how you study the reference on your images. Finally, the last thing that we can do or study from this is light, right? Like the presentation of these things. Where are our light sources? Well, I see a very big reflection right here. I see another sharp reflection right here, and I see another reflection right here. So this thing right here, I see another shadow over on this side, probably has a top light, right, hitting most of the helmet. That's why we get this nice light here and this nice light right here. We have another sort of like spotlight here, a little bit sharper because we have like a sharper shadow over here, but it's also big because the shadow is very smooth, and most of them are white. So if we want to mimic that same sort of like light principle and we want to incorporate that into our presentation, we just do that. We just take our lights. Let me turn off all of the lights right here, and we start placing our lights. So let's say this is my sky. Let's make it a little bit less intense. So right now we see pretty much nothing. So I'm going to go to the top view. I'm going to add one light. This is going to be a spotlight. I'm going to change this to a, not a sphere, but a rectangle instead. And what I can do, as you can see, the width is actually quite nice. I'm going to make it just a little bit wider. There we go. And we can make it a little bit brighter, depending or trying to match the type of light that we see right here. Right? Then we see again that we have a very bright spotlight on the front. So I go to the front of my element, have a spotlight right here, and then another spotlight. There we go. And that spotlight right there, we increase the brightness, and that's going to give us the shine or the sort of like effect that we're expecting to see. We can always use temperature and play with the values a little bit as well, play with the diameter too. And then, for instance, I don't really see a rim light, but we're in a very light room, so that means that we're probably going to have the skylight be a little bit brighter. And we can, of course, change this to something like this, alley graffiti. It's a lot brighter. Rotate this around because we don't want to have super harsh shadows. And little by little, we start building our scene. If we feel like we need more light on the back to really make this look a little bit nicer, one of the things that I can do is just grab one of these lights, for instance, duplicate it, just rotate it around, and add it to the back so that we can light it a little bit better. And boom, there we go. Now, of course, what I would do here is I would go to my sky and just drop the brightness so that the helmet like punches or looks a lot more interesting. So there we go. Just in 2 minutes, we've changed the light situation, right, from this light situation that we had before. Let me turn that off. to this one that we have right here. So you can very easily, again, study lights from your references by just trying to understand where the light is coming from and then incorporating that into your renders. If you do that, you're gonna improve as an artist. If you follow all of the things that I just went through, like you actually take a couple of minutes to analyze the images, to analyze the work of your favorite artist, to analyze the work of your favorite games, that is the way that you learn as an artist. But you need to make a conscious decision of actually sitting down and being like, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm not actually gonna model, sculpt, or paint anything, I'm just gonna study. I'm just gonna study and understand why the thing that I'm looking at works or looks the way I'm looking at it or the way I like, and then I'm going to incorporate that into my work. Okay, let's see. Essence says, man, I was thinking about going for an undergraduate in animation in UK since there is no any college in Nepal that could offer me an education. What do you have to say about please reply someone? So I've mentioned this before. Traditional education, when you go to an actual like school, needs to be at a school that you know for a fact that focuses on what you want to learn, because unfortunately there's a lot of schools out there that are going to be teaching things that might not be as necessary for the stuff that you want to achieve. My best advice, especially for 3D, just look at the rookies. The rookies' best schools, right? So if you go at the global school rankings of the rookies, these are going to be the results of the best schools in the world. So if we go to the top 50 creative schools, you're going to see this one right here. So we got New Edge 3D in France, Savannah College in France, United States, the One Academy of Communication and Design in Malaysia. We got Ringling College of Art and Design, 3D Sense Media School, Noman. I'm a Noman graduate. When I was there, Noman was actually on the top ones as well. But I mean, just being on the top 10 or top 50 is more than enough. Schooling, School of Visual Arts in the United States, Think Tank Training Center. I'm a mentor at Think Tank right now, so I can vouch for the quality of students that they are having there. It's a really good school as well. So yeah, a lot of these schools, like just go through this Animum in Spain. They also have one in Mexico, I think. But yeah, like if you take a look at all of these ones right here, these are schools that are creating students that have really good levels. So these are good options that you can check. Future Games, they have a really nice social as well on Instagram. So yeah, there's again like a bunch of different schools. Just look for it and see if the program that they're offering is the one that you want to go for. Now, if you have a specific thing that you want to learn from, for instance, concept art. I know a lot of people want to get into concept art, even though AI seems like a scary thing. There's still a lot of like stuff here. There was the Phil Sang. I'm not sure. No, not Phil Sang. What was it? There was a very famous one on like Indonesia. I don't see it here. But yeah, again, like just go here to the rookies and look at the different schools, and you're going to see like the level that you're going to be able to achieve if you go to these specific ones, right? Let's see. Oh my God. My ears are hurting a little bit. Sorry. Ashton Godinho says, I'm a think tank grad myself. There you go. Johnny has, really quick, can you show me how to do the interior of a mouth with the new Retopology brush in Zbrush? Not right now, man, because I don't have a model with the open mouth. I think the Oni might work, but it's just a bag. I have a video, open mouth, Zbrush, Abe Leal. So if you look, this one, I did this like 2 years ago, how to open the character's mouth. You just do the loop around the lips and you just pretty much push in and then connect everything on the inside. What's the Indonesia one? I'm not sure, man. Like again, just go here. Here, I'm gonna link the link on the chat in case you guys want to see them. There we go. So that's a good starting point, okay? That's a good starting point, and then you go from there. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest because this is also a comment I get from a lot of my mentees and my students. You will learn a lot of stuff with the schools. I'm not saying that you're not. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff, but that's not enough. People who are really committed to this thing that we do, to our craft, you're gonna be learning the basics in the schools, and then you still need to sort of like support that with tutorials, with courses, with extra, I don't know, competitions or internships or things like that. Like don't expect to learn everything just from going to school. Like if you just do the bare minimum in school, you're gonna get the bare minimum results. I know it's a very unfortunate situation in the way capitalism works, but the way you need to approach this is, yes, the school is gonna give you that foundation and it's gonna give you a lot of connection, it's gonna give you a lot of organization and a lot of soft skills as well, but a lot of the hard skills, a lot of the actual knowledge, you will have to learn through other sources. Again, YouTube videos, YouTube tutorials, mentorships, courses. Like, you will continue to learn. I'm still learning, guys. I've been doing this for 15 years. I still take courses. I still enroll in mentorships. I still learn from the videos that the Zbrush guys like publish and show the new tools. Like, I'm constantly learning. That's why we have the freaking motto: always learning, always improving. Because the life of an artist does not stop when you get your diploma or your certificate. As an artist, you're constantly evolving, you're constantly learning, you're constantly seeing at your old stuff and improving upon that. It's part of what makes us artists. It's what I think makes our career so like fulfilling. The fact you're constantly learning and improving upon the things that you know about. So even though you might think that you're done with school, you're never going to be done with learning. And once you understand that, you will improve as an artist, because you will understand the importance of continuous improvement and the importance of never giving up in terms of, or never giving up in this career, in this beautiful career that is art. Okay, let's see. Do you think your portfolio has to be at a very high level to get accepted to those top schools? No, but you do need to have the basics, and that's a great question. This is another thing that they actually told me this when I went to Neumann. I'm not sure if I told this anecdote before, but here's how it happened. So I went to Neumann in, I think it was like January 2012, the first time that I went to Neumann, January 2012, and I presented them my portfolio. And they told me, dude, you're not good enough. You don't have enough foundational skills to join. I wanted to join the 2-year program, which was full digital, right? Like, you started with Maya, Zbrush, Photoshop, everything. Full digital 2-year program. That's the program that I wanted to go to. And they told me, you don't have the necessary foundational skills to join this 2-year program. But we have a 3-year program. And we're going to teach you in the first year all of the necessary things in terms of, again, drawing, painting, gesture drawing, anatomy, all the stuff that you need. And then you transfer to the 3-year program, and we revalidate this one to you, and you get like the full certificate. And of course, I discussed this with my parents. They were very supportive. They helped me quite a bit in that journey, and we decided that this was the way to go. So I joined in December 2013, if I'm not mistaken. No, December 2012. That's when I joined Neumann. I need to check my time frame. But I joined Neumann, and what I had to do is I had to prepare for a full year and then apply with a new portfolio to the 2-year program, and then would revalidate my studies for the first year. So I still had to get accepted. I had to prepare a portfolio to get accepted, and I can show you that portfolio because I actually submitted it here. Let me just give me 1 second. This one I have shown before. Let's go full camera. One second. This one right here. Thing is, there's a piece where there's a little bit of nudity, so I just want to like avoid it. Okay, so there's nudity because I was doing or showing gesture drawing. So this right here is the portfolio. Yeah, there you go. So I presented it on November 2013. So I wanted to be accepted on the next term, right? So I started the second year pretty much. Like, I finished my first year at Neumann here on November 2013, and I showed this sculpt right here. I showed this sculpt right here. Very bad, right? Very, very bad. This little like a concept piece right here with Photoshop. Some gesture drawing stuff. Another piece right here. Some traditional sculpture here. I did this other vehicle right here, more like anatomy studies, a character design, another little 3D model that I had, another sculpt, horrible choice of light, by the way, right there, little comic that I did, and another like concept piece. So it was like 10 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 6, am I counting right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 pieces, like 15 pieces of work showing my process and the things that I learned during that year. A mix of like traditional stuff and a little bit of digital stuff. And this was the portfolio that got me accepted into Neumann so that I could finish the rest of the 3 years. So as you can see, it's not great. Like, I would not be hired with this portfolio anywhere, right? But for a student, I had the basic knowledge and the basic understanding of the things. So this is what you could potentially do to get accepted into a school. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you might need, just like basic understanding of the foundations. And then I'm gonna segue into another important thing. The reason why they ask you this is actually for your own benefit, because if you let's imagine that you want to have a class with me, like a personal class, and I'm gonna teach you Maya, and you don't know absolutely anything about Maya. Like, you've never opened the software before, but you know that you want to learn it because that's what you heard, that people are using it for the industry and whatever. On session 1, what do you think we're going to be covering? Interface, right? You move with this button, you click on this button to create the sphere. These are edges, these are faces, these are vertices. And I'm gonna charge you what I normally charge for my mentorship session, just to teach you the basic stuff. It's better if you go on your own, you explore these tools, you learn the basics with YouTube videos, with a like more affordable course, right? And then once you come to me and you're like, hey Abe, I want you to teach me Maya. Sure. What do you know about Maya? Oh, I know all of this. Awesome. From that point, we're going to move forward, right, to the next section. So we're going to start right there. I'm going to move you forward from that starting point. If your starting point is really low, or it's really on the beginning stages, then I will push you forward, of course, but I'm not going to be able to push you as forward ahead as we could if you already had other bases. So that's your best bet going into university or a college or any program. The more knowledge you have before you enroll, the further along you're going to be able to push that. But you're not going to be able to skip those fundamentals. You need to learn the fundamentals. And if you don't know the fundamentals and you find a way to start getting like other type of knowledge, eventually those fundamentals are going to bite you back in the ass, literally. And you're going to have to go back and learn them so that you can continue polishing. So a lot of people think that they can skip the grind of the fundamentals. Again, anatomy, form, perspective, basic light information, basic animation principles, like all of those fundamentals, you cannot skip them. And the more mature I become as an artist, the more like strongly I believe that fundamentals are the secret to improving, because they are the ones that are going to drive every single design decision that you're going to eventually be making on any project out there. Right? So don't skip on the fundamentals. Yes, I know they're not as fun as other things. Like, no one likes to be going here, for instance, if you're learning about drawing, and no one likes to be drawing, cubes into perspective and making sure that your perspective lines are looking as fine and as clean as possible. No one likes learning about the values, the 3, the 2, the 1s, and how you're going to shade this thing so that it looks like it's actually going into proportion. No one likes to learn about how to properly draw a cylinder in perspective so that you get like the proper shape. But if you don't know how to do this, you're not going to be able to do any of the like big stuff. You're not going to be able to learn all of the other information. And it might seem simple. It's like, oh, it's just a box. Do it. Try doing a box in perspective, 2D perspective, 1-point perspective, 3-point perspective, then bend that box so that you can find how to make, for instance, like a torso for a character, right? So all of that information, all of those things, it might seem like it's not something that you actually need, but it's things that you're eventually going to use. For instance, if you want to like place a character again in perspective, and you want to sculpt this character, and you want to, I don't know, like do any sort of like foreshortening or something, you're going to need to figure out how to like sketch and figure, like find all of the anatomy and the proportions. Like all of these things, these are things that you're going to have to learn at one point. And if you don't know the basics of these things, it's not going to be possible to do. Did you guys see the meme about like the Frerian, I think that's how it's pronounced, the girl that was looking up and everyone was trying to draw it and it was difficult? It's difficult. Like that position right there, it's a very difficult angle to try to draw a face, because the face is going in a sort of like very awkward angle, and you have the neck and you have other things that you need to account for. And if you don't do that properly, it just looks very, very off. So it's not easy, even for like advanced like illustrators, doing an angle of like looking up and making sure that the perspective looks fine. It's hard. Like I don't even think I can land it right there. But the point is, if you don't learn the fundamentals, you are not gonna grow as an artist. That's like the full thing right there. Like if there's one thing that I want you to get from today's like live stream, you guys are still watching here, learn fundamentals. Like spend a couple of minutes every day learning about a fundamental theory about anything: color theory, perspective theory, design theory, light theory, sculpting and form theory, anatomy theory. Like every single fundamental you can think of will help you somehow in your artistic journey. Okay? What the fuck does every 3D artist even do? And then you figure out like all of the things that we need to do. Yeah, it's a fun thing. But yeah, that's it, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Let's see, fundamentals are extremely important when you start working solo. It's easy to follow tutorials, but when you have to start thinking for yourself, it gets hard if you didn't focus. That's right. Yeah, it gets really, really hard. So yeah, that's pretty much it, my friends. We had a great stream today. I think we had a lot of like retopology stuff at the beginning with the new tools inside of Zbrush. I'm definitely gonna be trying them out even more. We're gonna be updating the Zbrush stylized course. I'm gonna ask Alan to help us there with editing some parts of this live stream and just adding that video at the end, because that's an important tool that everyone should know about. So we're probably gonna have that one right there, and hopefully this last information on how to learn, how to like think for yourself, how to understand reference, how to extract information from that was also helpful to you, my friends. If you want to help us out, if you want to learn a little bit more about the 3D world, of course, we have the courses that you can check. David is like sending some of the links here on the chat. We have, again, courses about ZBrush, Maya, Substance, Topology, very important, everything. And the stream is going to be here on YouTube, so in case you guys want to watch it again after it's done. And don't forget to join the Discord. Don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe. It really helps the channel. We're really close to the next milestone. I did not imagine that we could get to 100K, but now I see this as like really, really close. We're almost at 70K, I think. And after that, it's just 30 more people that we need to get here on the team so that you guys can keep learning and improving. And we're going to get the little like YouTube silver button. They don't give you any money or anything, but it just looks fancy and it looks very cool. And I think it's a nice goal to have. So you guys can help us get there by, of course, liking, sharing, and subscribing here on the YouTube channel. That's it, my friends. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Learn. Don't forget, try to practice a little bit every day, and I'll see you back next week, okay? Have a great one, my friends. Bye-bye.